Hello, and welcome to Fomoria Part 5. Once again, it has come randomly. Working on uploading these turns is rather difficult with my scheduling conflicts and doing more Dominion 6 turns than 90% of the community. Nevertheless, I have found more time to put this together. This is the aftermath of the Veritas War. Alright, turn 20. I have made it to turn 20. Can you believe that? I didn't die in the first war. Um, this is kind of the cleanup of Baratos, is what this is. Like, I'm just kind of cleaning up some provinces, checking out my events, and that is kind of the goal. The idea is I'm going to clean up Baratos, and I'm going to prepare myself to war with Marignan, because Marignan freaking is scary. I'm going to collect all my troops, and I'm going to ship them down to Baratos so I can siege them. And I take a sec to do that. I could have done it faster, but alas, present me is faster than old me. I buy a king because kings are lit, and they do my sailing, which is good on this map. I see a lot of crossbows from Marignan, which is kind of scary, so I'm thinking about that. I check out my research. I'm thinking about alteration. I'm gonna need that, and I do some PD here. In a sec here, I make the great mistake of the game. I go to my prophet who's got my troops sieging, and I make him preach, which turns out is not sieging, and that ends up being the great mistake. But alas, it is what it is. I also send my scout to go check out Niflheim because I hear he's up there, and like that's the idea of turn 20. Turn 21. Here we go. So turn 21 is on. This is kind of a continuation of the last turn. I see that some people were killed, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. I lose some money and some pops. Not great, but I continue my small conquest of Baratos. This turn really isn't anything special. I'm just kind of consolidating. I comment on Pelagia fighting Relay. We'll see who wins that eventually. I send them down there. I'm going to start taking out more provinces. And yeah, I move my troops over to my preaching commander who is not sieging. I do not know that that is a problem at the present time, but I will. I will. And I sail back, and I'm going to like sail back and forth is what I decide to do. And I buy these guys for siege strength because I'm like, okay, Baratos' fort's not going down quickly, so I'm going to get a bunch of guys for siege strength. That would do the trick. That's the idea. So I'm also buying, like, my king's coming up in the next turn, which is nice, and I also do some PD. It's kind of the idea of this turn. I also do some site searching. I probably could have done more site searching when I did this game, but alas. I also comment on Niflheim. And that's turn 21. Turn 22. Okay, so this turn is kind of more of the same. We are still like doing Baratos cleanup. We're taking on some barbarians this turn. I found a magic site. I don't comment on this sadly. And I'm like thinking about Marignan with all the stuff they're going. They're sieging TNN right now. It's a problem. And Baratos is repairing their fort, but I'm bringing in more guys because I think that's going to solve the situation. In any case, that's pretty much the whole turn. I say some thoughts about what I think will counter crossbows, which is more spearmen. I was wrong. I also think about like kings, getting more kings so I can sail and raid Marignan really hardcore. I already have enough kings to do that, but I don't realize that. And that's basically the turn right there. Turn 23. So I get gold from Utgard. I'm not really happy about it, but he decided to send me gold. Anyways, he and I get along out of game, and he likes to do things that I say no to. So Anyway, I got gold. I take on more Baratos. I cleared the barbarians, and I am still sieging Baratos. I would have been in by now if I knew better, but I didn't. Uh, but anyway, sieging Baratos. I got my guys all ready to do their thing. I got my like siegers. I got my king traveling back and forth. And that's pretty much the turn. There's not really much else to talk about. I like kind of discussed some ideas I have for taking on like the like Marignan. I also put up my first fort this turn, which is pretty cool. Um, and TNN is still going down. I talk about my fears about there being a lot of guys. Uh, and I'm like, spearmen are gonna save me, and I was really wrong. Like spearmen are not good troops, generally speaking. They're good at raiding, which is like that's fine, but it's not good at fighting tons and tons of crossbows and humans. Uh, I really should have tested it. I also find a lava lake, which is cool, and a copper mine. Pelagia is still going at it. I put down some PD, and like that's pretty much the whole turn right there. Turn 24. So this turn is kind of more of the same. I see that Niflheim was under siege. They're no longer under siege. They got quite a bit of stuff, so they're pretty sizable over there now. But unfortunately, they are down to like their capital and a couple provinces. Also, Jomin died, which was kind of a big deal because that meant that Muspelheim was now right next to me, which is not ideal. I'm still breaking down Baratos. At least I think I am. And that's pretty much what's going on. Other than that, I also have like my guys sailing around. I'm bringing troops over to continue the attempt to siege without knowing that I'm not sieging. I find a magic site, which is a burial mound, which is pretty cool. And my sorceress is still off site searching. I get a guy. I'm getting some like foreign recruit mages because it's good for research purposes. And I look at my troops here, I realize they're not going to beat those lizards, so they are going back to Baratos. I take a look at Maragnon's armies. TNN is dead. They lost their cap, so they're not going to last much longer. It's kind of a problem. So that's kind of what's happening this turn. I'm doing more research. I got my kings. This one has glamour on them. There isn't really much else that's happening. I move my scouts around. I recruit more guys, and that's pretty much the turn. Turn 25. So I get more gold from Utgard, and there's an arena this turn. I tried to tell him stop sending me gold, but he insists on doing it. It is what it is. I comment on it there. And of course, the arena happens, which is very cool. Also, the Throne of War. So yeah, I kind of cycle through these, and I see some interest. Nothing really crazy until I see this. I'm like, oh, a Melkart. Melkarts are very cool. So I check him out. He has an insanely high amount of defense skill, like 25 defense skill, which is really high. And he also blesses himself. He has regeneration and obfuscate, which is really interesting. Would not have guessed obfuscate, but you know, I comment on population eaters. The big thing with that, it's like I don't understand why someone would run obfuscate hymnon, because population eater causes a lot of unrest. I don't watch this battle sadly, but the aboleth manages to enslave the attendant of the dead, which is really cool. Really interesting guy to put in. Morgan Princess obviously wins. Another Melkart win. Aquado dies to the Witch Doctor. Very unfortunate. Another Mind Slain. Morgan Princess does a thing. And Melkart wins again. And sadly, the Morgan Princess dies. I should have watched this one, but I didn't at the time. The Morgan Princesses, they're worth quite a lot. So this was a big loss for Yes. and the Aboleth also dies, and the Melkart wins. He also gets the Disease Grinder, which is very cool. This turn, I find some heretics, and I also get the last Parthenonian. Parthenonian? I'm not very good with that word. He's a big researcher. He has immortality. Very, very cool guy. Seriously, like one of the best mages that Fomoria can get. Uh, Primarily because he's immortal. He can do almost like demi-lich things. I'm still attempting to siege Baratos. The Pelagio War is still ongoing with Relay. Nothing too crazy happening over there. Like they're just troops spamming at each other for the most part. Unfortunately, I can't get any scouts down, but I do watch from afar. That is the idea. And that's pretty much the turn right there. I do more troop management, and I'm still trying my hardest to get inside of Baratos. I also do some site searching, which is cool. Turn 26. Alright, so this turn, something really cool happens. Niflheim is under siege by a lot of Asphodel. I'm not excited about Asphodel being on my planet. I also find out that I have a bunch of infantry that are just randomly hired. I would not have hired them if that was the case, but whatever. Also, a lot of deaths this turn, sadly. Lots of people going out of the game pretty quickly. And I get 2 sites. I check them out here. I get the Nightmare Tower, which produces a Death Gem and a Glamour Gem, which is really good for me. Those are great things to have. And I also get the Glowing Hill. I get really excited about the Glowing Hill because the Glowing Hill produces these guys. These are the TNN Sacreds, which is really, really cool to get, like, on a nation that's normally cap-only Sacreds. So I super hyped about that. And the rest of this turn's pretty much just management of the turn, more like troops moving around. I also discuss like my political situation, I guess, with Merignon here in a second. The idea is that I'm still trying my hardest to get into Baratos, and I don't want to fight Merignon before I am done fighting Baratos. That is the idea. Just getting yet another king. Um, so yeah, I have an app with them, and so they're gonna go fight Ashdod, which is not good for Ashdod considering he's still fighting LA Satis down there, and suffering because of it. I check out my research, and there isn't really anything super crazy happening with the turn. Like I'm still just trying to figure out like what my research really should be. And that's the idea here. I'm also gonna go put down a temple. And that's pretty much the whole turn right there. I also get a cool death random on the Jade Sorcerers. Didn't know they could random that way, but they do. So they're going to site search for me. And that is turn 26. Alright, so turn 29. I accidentally skipped a turn. I don't remember the reason why. I was probably busy with something and forgot to record the turn. Nevertheless, Niflheim, once again, under siege, as one does. And I have a random event where it puts like a bunch of random dudes in the middle of nowhere. And I do not know why, but they're in the middle of nowhere. And I get attacked by a necromancer, which sucks. I don't like this because it's a bunch of undead now in my cap circle. At least it didn't hit the glowing mount, which would have made me somewhat angry. I'm getting myself some sacreds so I can go fight the small group of undead that has showed up, the 100 undead. And I was like, I'm going to send them up this turn. I site search. I'm going to ship more guys over to Baratos. At this point, I am genuinely confused as to how I'm not inside of this fort. Like, I do not get it. I have hundreds of units here, and I do not understand why I have not gotten into Baratos. Like, it's not something that I have figured out by this point in time. I'm, like, genuinely shocked about this. I also have a random event about a warlock doing a summoning. I kind of just take that in. And like the turn really isn't anything crazy beyond this. I do more site searching. Sending this guy down to go preach and get those guys out of there. And that's pretty much the turn right there. There's my random dudes off by M.A. Ulm and E.I. Ulm in the middle of nowhere. And yeah, that is the turn. Turn 31. Alright, we're in. Baratos, under siege. It's still under there. I lose the fight to the Necromancer. It's a problem. I'm well aware of this. And I find a magic site, and I get my Thistle Mace from Jotunheim, which I bought. My turn's missing, sadly, but turn 30 is missing. And yeah, so I'm still not in Baratos, which is driving me nuts. I do not understand why I'm not into Baratos yet. I do find out eventually that preaching is not sieging, but it is not yet. Anyway, I'm gonna prepare to go take on these undead. So I do some minor scripting. I get personalness form, quicken self, and personal flight, which is pretty cool. And I do 2 blessings because I have some sacred swooping. And like I'm thinking that this will be enough to finally clear out these undead. Darn necromancer. I do some more site searching. And Marignon is absolutely destroying at Ashdod right now. Like, Ashdod's not standing a chance. It's a whole problem. And that's pretty much the turn. I also like doing more site searching, of course. And I am gonna buy an immediate sorcerers here in a second. I get me some more Dionine said hey, because they rock. And I get my guy the N2 as one does. I look and I have construction 5 now. And I'm wanting this Nemedian sorceress. I really do want her. And so I buy her. I get this guy out. And I'm looking at my items that I've got available. We got the false mirror, which is pretty cool. And we got the amulet of dead, also cool. And the pendant of beauty, which is cool. But what I'm really interested in is the amulet of protection. The amulet of protection is like really what I'm gonna need if I'm gonna magic phase on Marignon and obliterate their armies is the idea, using like Wind of Death and whatnot. And that's pretty much the turn. More sailing back and forth, more site searching, as one does. And that's turn 31. Turn 32. Here we go. Okay, so got some more globals. I made some trades. Someone put up a fire global, which is cool. And another global went up, which was also pretty cool. Still not inside of Baratos, which is absolutely insane. I'm not beating the Necromancer this time, but he's mostly gone now. I find another magic site, which is cool. I got attacked by centaurs, so I'm gonna fix that here in a sec. And I'm still sailing like back and forth, trying to figure out how to get into Baratos. I'm convinced that he has like 1 billion summons inside of Baratos, and I have no idea how he's done it at this point in time. And like because I should be in, like he's had 0 recruitment, so like truly I have been baffled by this situation. Anyway, I'm still doing site searching. My priest finally reached the Warlock province. He's gonna try and preach out that event, and that's a good news. I'm almost done with the darn necromancer. I also am putting these guys on research. They're very good. And actually, I decide against that, and I make more amulets because I don't want my mages getting shot by crossbows. Um, my nature 2 guy is going to make a ring of regen because that's good for kings. Um, and that's the turn. Turn 33. Lots of globals this turn. Someone's got their like some armies. They've got more things about fire. All that jazz. I finally defeat the necromancer. It took way too long, and Wrath of God got dispelled. This turn's not anything crazy either. I have a fun sorceress there. She's gonna site search for me, and I'm still not in Baratos because I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. I have a ton of amulets. I got a skull staff. I traded with Calum at some point, um, which is cool. I was getting death gems. Gotta have death gems so I can do that wind of death spam. I have all these amulets, and I really don't need that many amulets, but I'm making them anyway. I am sending Olm some air gems. I made a trade with him, and making another skull staff, getting ready for that wind of death stuff. Other than that, this turn's just site searching, consolidating troops, and really struggling to figure out why I'm not in Baratos. It's something that was baffling me for many turns. I don't really have anything else for this turn. Like most of it's just casual management. I have a ring regen, which is cool. And yeah, that's turn 33. Turn 34. This is the final turn for this video. I got more gold from Utgard. Niflheim under siege yet again, and I get a ton of sites, which I'm pretty happy about. More random events. I had a indie attack, which got me a new mage, nature 2. She's even a healer, which is really cool. She's got a Baneblade, which is pretty darn hype. I'm excited about it. But the big thing is I'm finally inside Baratos. And so I'm going to find out after all this time what is inside this fort. And I'm going to see what has been holding me back all along. After sending hundreds of guys to see it. I try to get another die 9. See, hey, I fail. I have my guy here. Like, I'm looking at my fort. I realize I need more rec points if I want to make more of these guys. So I'm going to build another fort. Make it into a fortress, I should say. And yeah, that's the turn. I just want to say thank you for your patience in waiting for yet another Fomoria part to come out. Life has been hectic and busy, and I need to make more time to put these things together. But thank you for watching, and I hope that you have a great day.